Hello, I'm Cynthia Ng. This is AWANI Review. Now, in this episode, we will be taking a closer look at the state of digital adoption in key business sectors in Malaysia. Joining me today is Seth Ravin. He is the co-founder, CEO, and chairman of the board of Rimini Street, a third-party software solutions company. Rimini headquarters in Las Vegas, but it has presence in 21 countries globally, including Malaysia. So thank you so much, Seth. I know you have had a busy schedule in Malaysia. So welcome and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Well, this is your second time on the network, first time on my show. But for the benefit of our audience today watching this, can you walk us through some of your businesses and where can we find your services here in Malaysia?
Sure. We work with many of the largest companies here in Malaysia, such as Proton, who was our first customer in Malaysia. We've continued to expand out to more than 30 customers now, especially around the KL area. This is because we continue to find new ways to add value to the growing tech sector here in Malaysia.
Can you talk to us a bit more about what particular area in tech do you provide your service in?
Sure. We are primarily focused on the enterprise software space. So companies who use Oracle's products or SAP's products or even Salesforce products, we help reduce the cost of these back-end transaction system operations, and we free up capital that can be invested in other digital innovation technologies.
Now, maintaining enterprise resource planning and solutions can be an expensive affair. And as I understand it, Rimini claims to be able to help companies save at least about 50% of its annual cost. How are you able to do that?
Well, we offer resources that are far better trained than most of the vendors' resources. So we can offer better resources at half the price, but we total operating cost reductions as much as 90% for customers on these large systems. So we can save customers millions and potentially even billions of US dollars over the course of years. And this is where capital comes from to invest in those new innovations, and that's what we're doing here in Malaysia.
Okay, now speaking about that, as you're helping companies to reduce costs, I do want to get your thoughts about where we're heading and the macroeconomic environment. If you look at the global space at the moment, especially in tech, we are seeing a lot of cost cutting, mass layoffs. Have you seen cutbacks in spending in infrastructure?
Well, what I'm actually doing here, my specialty right now is focusing with CIOs and CFOs on helping find two particular wins. One is reducing costs to drive better profitability, at the same time giving them capital to reinvest in innovation that can drive growth. You can cut costs and drive a better profit, but you cannot cut costs in order to drive growth. And so the balance that has to be achieved, which is truly an art, is both cutting costs and making investments at the same time in key strategies that will, in fact, grow the business.
And your conversations with the CIOs and CTOs that you have been having, especially in this part of the world, what are they saying? What are their biggest concerns when it comes to maintaining profitability and also trying to grow?
Well, I think that it's no different in Malaysia than anywhere else in the world. This is truly an economic art. We have rising costs, we have global instability, we have challenges with the relations between the US and China, we have wars, but the growing cost of capital in terms of interest rates is also very challenging for businesses who want to look at expanding. So you either look at all of these items as a complex challenge, or you can change your frame of mind and see it as a true opportunity, because anyone who figures out how to navigate this can outpace their competition at this time. And so we're really helping CIOs and CFOs look at the world in a different way, that this complexity presents a real opportunity for them.
And where is that opportunity?
Well, the opportunity is that if you can figure out how to balance the right investments against the right cuts, what you'll find is that you will be able to achieve both growth and you'll be able to deliver profitability. We've seen the stock market volatility because what's happened is investors are focused on profitability. Growth has slowed, and whenever growth slows, focus always moves to profitability. So now we're in this position. You talked about big cuts. You see a lot of them in technology. But what you don't see is that they're also hiring a lot. And that's confusing people. How are we having all these cuts and yet they're hiring thousands? The U.S. had a jobs growth of over 500,000 jobs last month.
Well,
it was
yet
so
we're seeing
strong.
So much layoffs happening.
Exactly, but they're also hiring. What you're really watching is a rotation of skills. We're eliminating some positions relating to older skills, and we're hiring people for the skills that will grow the business with innovation in the future. So it's not as big as everyone thinks in terms of the actual net layoffs, because they're hiring as many or more than they're actually laying off.
So how do we reconcile the fact that this confusion? Is that a skills mismatch is happening, or what's really the scenario here?
We have a changing of technology. We have a changing of business going forward. Technology changes everything. So the skill sets that are needed for tomorrow are different than the skill sets that we needed yesterday. So a lot of companies are rotating those skill sets, and it looks like layoffs, but it's not really. It's really a skills rotation. It's a restructuring for the future. So it's actually a very healthy thing that's going on, and it's exciting. I mean, even here in Malaysia, as we work with the CIOs and the CFOs, we had over 60 last night alone at our event. We were sitting and all talking about and sharing information about this real change taking place in the market. So this is an opportunity for those who look at it that way.
Can you give us a sense of that change that you just talked about, in particular to Malaysia? So where are these areas that will see good growth, and where are the parts where you might see to die off eventually in the tech space?
And I don't think you're going to see anything die off. I think you're watching extreme competition. As Malaysia competes in the global environment, you have to be competitive. Competitive in cost, competitive in strategy. And the meetings that we're doing with CIOs and CFOs here are all working to change the business to be a globally competitive operation, which means that they're moving to the technologies and the forefront of technology. So Malaysia is not lacking in technology. It's actually moving very quickly along with the global community to make these changes. But when you have hyper competition, margins get compressed. And when margins get compressed, it becomes commodity-based operations, and you have to operate differently. You're watching this. You have cell companies here that are merging. You have a lot of consolidation, M&As. It's because of the fact that we have to have profitable businesses, and we have to do good, solid technical businesses. And that requires to have a certain amount of capital.
I do want to stay on the topic of hyper competition. In this region, there's a lot of discussion about, in Malaysia at least, to move up the value chain. Where is Malaysia right now in terms of competition, and also if you put us against our peers?
Well, I think competition very strong. The technical capabilities within the country are very strong. I think that you are moving up the value chain because you're not being viewed just as a resource pool from a less expensive labor perspective globally. There are places that are a lot cheaper than even Malaysia today. That's just part of global capital. And so you're really looking at the fact that your businesses are continuing to mature, and some of them are leading the world in terms of their innovation. So I think that my experience with the CIOs and CFOs of the region are that they're very focused, very committed on being technology leaders in this area.
And what do you feel about the state of digital adoption among businesses in Malaysia?
The state of adoption is very high. I don't see any issue with Malaysia versus other countries. I think, in fact, leading other countries in many ways.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Okay, I would like to move on to talk a bit about trends and the outlook of the sector. We've been hearing so much about IoT, AI. Of course, ChatGPT is in the discussion the past couple of months. Where do you see this coming into play, especially in your space?
Well, AI is going to change the world. It's taking certain knowledge and making it available much faster. It's bringing analytical capability into programs that before didn't have that kind of capability. So I think we're going to interact in very different ways with technology in the future. So it's an exciting next step in terms of how people and machines will interact, the learning capability. Rimini Street uses many AI tools today that have improved our productivity and our responsiveness to clients.
What do you think the challenges or strategies, because to move past that awareness stage to implementation, because based on my conversation with companies, especially the smaller ones, they're aware of this, IoT, AI, but not quite sure where to invest in.
Right. I think that just overall, I think this is what we help customers understand. There are proper investments that can have return, and there are investments just because they're not focused. And part of the job of figuring out how to drive innovation is figuring out what are the most important investments. So we help customers prioritize because there are many different technology investments. Now, something like this chat program could be helpful to some customers, but they may not be relevant to others. So choosing the investments that they make is critical to that competitive advantage.
And talking about that critical decision making, given a limited pool of resources, what are areas that a CIO or a CTO can afford to skimp on, and where are the areas that they must spend to grow?
Well, Rimini Street's specialty is these back-end mission-critical transaction systems, such as finance, HR systems, manufacturing, distribution. These systems are critical to the running of the company's infrastructure, but they do not create competitive advantage on their own. You don't compete between two manufacturers based on which system they use. They are important to run well. And so what we do is we step in to help lower the costs of those systems, run them better than the customers are running them today, so that the businesses run better. But then we free up all that excess capital and labor to focus on a more important area, such as in the world of banking. Focusing on the transaction systems does not compete bank to bank. But if they have a better mobile application that is better than their competitors, people will move their money to their bank and use their application, not the other bank. That's where IT needs to focus. We call it the difference between the transaction systems in the back and the systems of engagement where people engage with their clients and have a better experience overall.
What you have said is quite refreshing, because based on my conversation in the previous episodes and shows, there's always this discussion about Malaysia's, especially the manufacturing space, is not as moving as fast as they should when it comes to digital adoption. I do want to get your thoughts on that. Things like IoT, AI, do you see there needs to be more robust application in the manufacturing sector here in Malaysia?
Well, I can tell you, just even based on our event last night, we had CIOs talking exactly about IoT, talking about machine learning, talking about AI. And these are manufacturers, these are distributors, these are retailers, these are telecom, all the different industries, they're all talking about these technologies. So no, I don't subscribe to the idea that Malaysia is behind. They understand these technologies. They are investing in them, but like every other company, and including government agencies, they have to find a balance between a cost and investment and making those right investments. And that's where the focus has to be with these organizations.
And what are your recommendations for them to developing good infrastructure and strategies for growth?
Well, I laid out in my presentation last night several different points for customers. First, they have to start with prioritizing and understanding the difference between investments that will grow the business and investments and technologies and changes that will save money. Because again, as we talked about, we have to both achieve a higher profitability, and we have to find more of that money to be able to push into key investments. And so my recommendation was first to start by identifying what will grow the business strategically. Then figure out the cost, figure out the resources. The second step is figuring out how you're going to pay for it. Companies cannot simply go to their board of directors and ask for more money. That doesn't work today. So they're going to have to find the money within their existing budget. And that's where the cost cutting comes into effect, to be able to find that capital to fund those investments.
What about what you're doing in Rimini Street? Is the company also facing similar challenges? And is that what is your strategy then as a business leader looking all this happening?
No different. We actually eliminated 90 positions 2 months ago, but we're hiring 400. And so we're actually hiring many times the number of positions, because we determined those positions were outdated, that we would deliver better value to our clients by changing our skill sets for the future. And so we're no different than everyone else. We're investing in the same items: machine learning, AI, to improve our business. We're changing our labor and our capital and our skill sets. So we are doing exactly what we're working with our clients to do.
And where do you see growth will come? Where do you see it coming from for Rimini Street?
Well, for us, we started off as an independent maintenance provider. We have nearly almost 90% of the world market, according to Gartner, outside of Oracle and SAP for servicing those systems. We have now expanded to a full set of IT services. And we now will run those systems for customers. We'll secure them with our security products. We will integrate those products with others. We have consulting operations. We have a watch program where we watch these systems for them 24 hours a day. So we've really expanded out our product line so that we can be a more full service provider and partner to our clients.
Okay, well, that is on the business side of things. I do want to get a bit of your personal intake, as also your story. You started this company back in 2005, I believe.
That's correct.
When you started the company, did you anticipate how you wanted it to be, and where we are right now? How has the progress been for you?
Well, I've always been on the side of driving return on investment. That's what I've done back when I was at PeopleSoft and helping to build that company as part of the management team. But it's always been a focus about ROI. And when you're an ROI-focused person and you're helping customers drive value out of their systems, that has always been our goal. And Rimini Street was built on the idea of a strong partnership with its customers, really delivering on that. And at the same time, the more services we're able to provide, we're able to drive better value for those customers. So we're doing exactly what we set out to do 17 years ago. Now, we became a public company in 2017, which is always very exciting. We trade on the NASDAQ exchange, and our investors today include some of the largest technology investment firms like BlackRock.
Did you envision for Rimini Street to be where it is today when you first started?
I think it's really exciting. We're serving customers in 159 countries today, and we have personnel now in 21 different countries. So we truly have operations all around the world. And it's exciting the way that we're able to grow. And I think what's really interesting is the fact that the technology issues and the business challenges are really the same on a global basis. You don't see differences. Sure, for our customers in Taiwan, for example, they have real challenges because of the relationship with China and the US. They're much more sensitive to some of those issues. So we're watching, there's different regional challenges, Europe with energy due to the war with Russia and Ukraine. So different regional challenges, but the underlying financial challenges, technology challenges are the same on a global basis.
Okay, and what is your assessment for Malaysia then?
I think Malaysia has tremendous capability. I think we've got a great technology workforce here. We continue to expand and invest in Malaysia. That's why I'm back here again and again, now that the pandemic has passed. And we look forward to continuing to grow here, because I think it's wonderful. You come out of the airport, which is one of our clients, Malaysian Airports. You come out of the airport and you see so much construction. I think it's a really exciting market to watch the growth that's happening in Malaysia.
Is skills shortage or mismatch of skills, is that a problem facing the tech sector here, especially for Rimini Street? Is it hard to find talent that you need?
I think globally it's hard because technology moves so fast that it's really hard to find enough people who have the current technology skills. In many ways, we're just training people up. And in fact, we've started training people right out of college to be able to do some of these jobs, because you just can't find enough people with those skill sets. We have to train them. And you're going to probably find the same problem here in Malaysia as you're going to find in any other country. We all have a challenge with tech workers and skill sets in order to fill the demand that we have on a global basis.
Do you see companies investing in reskilling and upskilling?
Really, when you think about what we're doing, is we're taking certain jobs that today are being done by workers who they don't enjoy that work. They're not challenging, they're running systems. We take that off their plate, and that allows those workers to be moved into projects that are much more exciting, that challenge them, that push innovation forward. That's much more engaging for employees, and they'll stay. The retention is much higher if you give people exciting work where they can invent things and really build new skill sets. So in many ways, when Rimini Street comes in, we free up people from doing jobs that they may not enjoy as much and really give them new challenges.
Okay. Now, I did read recently that Rimini Street adopted a 4-day work week for your global workforce. This is after putting it on trial, I think it was last year. Can you talk to us about the results of the trial and what led to the company to decide to implement it globally?
Well, we tried it out in the second half of 2022 to see if there would be any impacts on productivity and to see how the workforce would respond. It turned out to be the most popular HR program we've ever implemented. And in fact, we didn't lose productivity, we actually increased productivity. People really enjoyed the idea of having 3 days to focus on personal matters and even spending some time to work on a day when we didn't have any meetings. So it has improved productivity. It really, we believe, will improve retention of employees because they're happier. And we do work a lot of hours at Rimini Street, and the fact that they're able to push that into a 4-day work week has been very, very popular.
Has this tool been able to help you attract talent, especially the younger workforce?
I believe so. It was shared out on social media. We've seen a lot of responses. We see things like, how do I get a job at Rimini Street to work a 4-day week? But again, it's not that we've reduced the number of hours. We're just trying to allow it to be compressed to give people more personal time. Now, in other places like the Middle East, where they work a different week and weekend, we use a marvelous Mondays instead of a fabulous Fridays. But all of our people, depending on whatever rotation they're on, the idea is that they're going to be working a 4-day work week.
And do you do a 4-day work week for you?
I do a 7-day work week, but I really, really enjoy the Fabulous Fridays because I use it to catch up too. We've banned the idea of company meetings on a Friday or whichever day around the world. And it allows us time to not have to sit in meetings all day. We can actually catch up on items that we had to get done from the prior week. So I personally love having that as well.